You know what I'm nuts about? Fall. It's my favorite season and has my favorite holiday and brings out the best ingredient on earth, pumpkin. So imagine how happy I was when Pro Flowers sponsored us and sent us a fall bouquet bursting with the colors I love so much this time of year. The flowers are beautiful, they smell great, and I know from experience they're gonna last a long time. Their best-selling cinnamon cider roses are a great option for a birthday, an anniversary, or any fall occasion, or go with one of the more classic ones like 100 autumn blooms or a dozen autumn roses. Seriously, stop what you're doing and send a set to your mom or partner. They'll love them. And if you don't have anyone to send them to, let's be crazy this week. Look up a nursing home in your area and send them there with a note asking the receptionist to give it to a resident who doesn't get a lot of visitors. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna send mine to the Cypress at Golden Gate because, man, let's be better to each other. To get 20% off all the bouquets of $29 or more, go to proflowers.com and use my code Greggy at checkout. That's proflowers.com and my code Greggy. My topic is, what do you guys want to know? You're here, you're living the dream. Many people always want to come on this show. Not many people want to pay for it. But they, well, you know, you guys have watched pretty much from the beginning, right? Like, I mean, it's kind of funny at least. We talked about that, right? You were the same one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Beyond 150 is when
right. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, I mean, like, you've been around forever.
Yeah. Something I have been curious on
sure.
is where do you see Kind of Funny in the next 5 years?
Sure.
Starting now. And where did you see Kind of Funny going before you broke out? Because it was year 3?
Yeah, well, it'll be, 2015. Yeah. So it's always confusing, right? Yeah. It'll be a 3rd anniversary.
But, like, that's been, like, that's a good while to have a company start in. So, like, has anything changed since your original vision and for what you want now?
Sure. Yeah, everything. You know what I mean? And I think that was the learning curve to Kind of Funny that I don't think any of us expected, but I can only speak for myself that I didn't expect it at all, is that everything happened so much faster than we ever anticipated in the way that, I always talk about it, when Kevin had been helping us with the GameOverGreggy or youtube.com/GameOverGreggy and doing all the production work on GameOverGreggy for a while, the show. And then when we launched Kind of Funny, he still got helped us. And then when we quit, it was that thing of like, all right, you guys are quitting, but Kevin still works at IGN. And we weren't like in a blood feud, but it was very much like, all right, we're breaking up. This is a breakup. So like, Kevin, you shouldn't work with us anymore until we figure this out. And it was very much that we will come for you, but it was like,
we will come for you.
Well, it's like, you know how it is. Like he put in a lot of work with us and stuff like that. And we didn't want him to think we were just leaving him high and dry. Not to mention, it was that thing of, we didn't know how much money we'd make. Yeah. And that's always the thing of like, I talk about it.
Telling somebody to quit their job. And
exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Exactly the same.
And it's what I always talk about with the, like Nick had the whole spreadsheet of like, if we do all right, it looks like this, but we're eating ramen every night. If we do good, we're doing this. If we're great, it looks like this. And we passed great in the first 24 hours of it.
Yeah.
So it was that whole, oh shit. Like,
I helped.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you all for helping for that. It was that thing, and to this day, and please continue to help. It was, oh wow, okay, cool. And so, all right, we'll come for Kevin in 6 months to a year is what we originally said. And it was literally by the end of month one, like I'm like bleeding as I edit out, and I'm like, we got to get him in here. I can't do all this by myself. And so we were like, well, we're making more money, so we went and got him. And then it was the same thing of like, all right, cool, we're gonna look at a studio, something we dream about, because it's obviously hard being in the spare bedroom, but that'll be 2.5 years out. And instead it was, a little over, I think we actually moved in 1.5 years, whereas you started looking, really at a little after a year. That was the first idea, right? It was gonna be that, all right, cool, we're coming up on Kind of Funny Live 2, and then it's E3, then it's Comic-Con, then it's this. After E3, let's look for places. And instead, they went before Kind of Funny Live 2 and found this place. And so we went right in here. And so it does get really, not awkward, but impossible to go, oh man, in 5 years, you know what I mean? I mean, think about the last 5 months in the way that this business has changed so drastically. And we've been able to bring on so many great people. Yeah, exactly.
Sharing one
new
bathroom.
shows, new everything, sharing one bathroom.
Shout
Sorry,
out to
Joey.
over there.
Sorry, Joey. Yeah. The poopery,
eventually we'll get more than one bathroom, and then I'll be totally fine.
That'll be the one.
It's
that
now a
fixes
Patreon
it.
tier.
Yeah, get Joey a bathroom. Hey Joey, I did that whole I made fun of Honey Bucket, but then I put up the Honey Bucket selfie game, and if you saw this, what it was is they were gonna give, if you took a photo with the most disgusting porta potty ever, Honey Bucket.
Oh no!
They had a contest that they'd pick one at random, and whoever won would either get their own porta potty or would get like $5,000 or whatever. And I would have taken the porta potty for you, Joey. You could have had your own bathroom on the roof.
You could have just taken the $5,000 and given that to me as consolation for sharing with
She
you
would have
all.
put up with the one toilet bag.
So, I mean, what it looks like from here on out, I think right now we've got a great core. You know what I mean? Like the 7 of us are all on the same page and making great shit and having a great time. I don't think this place can take maybe more than one more person, but I also don't think the business is ready to take on anyone anymore at the moment, right? And I think we're finding a lot of success with contractors, right? Where even though Danny's gone now, but him and Andrea, and then even Aaron Porter, who's editing Cooking with Greggy for us, like all of a sudden we have this idea of like, oh right, like not everybody has to be full time, and we're to a place where we can do that. So even with Danny leaving, it's like, great, who can we bring in to fill those shows, and who do we want to bring in for those shows? And similarly, you know, talking to anybody, whether it be Andrea or whoever, of like, I'd love to start talking about like, all right, what's a show for Andrea on our stuff look like that's not, it's ours, but it's not taking her away from what's good or something to that effect. That's more of the future imminently. Whereas, you know, I think we talk about all the time of like when we outgrow this spot. That is the plan, right? Is to outgrow this space and move to a different place and figure out how all that looks. And I know, you know, Nick and Kevin really want like a warehouse space similar to Rooster Teeth, where it's like,
that'd be awesome.
It's just giant open area, and it's, you know, Nick's talked about this since GameOverGreggy Show 2 or whatever, but like standing sets in all the corners where you go to, because even with this, which is great and awesome and fantastic, and we're so lucky to have it, and it works so well for us, it is still that bitch of like, cool, like we end this right now and like, hey, fuck it, let's stream Friday the 13th. All right, well, we're gonna reset these walls and get these mics out and do, it's gonna be like, you know, if first off, Cool Greg and Kevin are gone, so it's gonna take me and Joey a while to
I got this. We
the
can totally do it.
When I
We
saw
could
him,
do
like,
it.
breaking shit down, like he's got it down to a science.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's the other, like, you know, amazing thing about what we do, right? It was awesome. We just did Kevin's wedding, obviously, and there I was talking to Joey and I was talking to Andy of like, you know, because we move so fast here and everybody's so busy. I don't ever get a chance to talk to anybody about like, how are you doing? What's happening? You know what I mean? And like Joey, Cool Greg, Andy all coming together. And then even when Andrea's here, Danny was here in the front room, like them having their own lives and own things and like knowing how to do all this stuff that so it isn't like a huge giant problem when Kevin goes away for 2 weeks is insane. That like, I remember when all of it was just, you know, 4 of us sitting at the kitchen table in Colin and I's house. And so to see them have their own lives and have these own things and be making own stuff, and to me to be like, well, Joey, have you thought about oh, you're making this promotional video. Don't worry about it. I don't need to, I'm going to go back to whatever the fuck I do in the back room. Like, that's awesome. But it also means that I think we would have been naive in the early days and told you, we'll have our own studio in 2.5 years. We're going to have more employees. We're going to do this kind of thing. We want this kind of show. And I think now it is, if anything, we've learned like, you know, we've refocused this year on our core of what we are. The seasonal show thing works out really well for us.
I love that.
Thank you. Well, and that was
I
always
just don't have no. You guys have so much content.
Yeah.
Like literally, I think from the last PSX up until August, all I watched was Kind of Funny.
Thank you.
Just because I was so busy at work.
Yeah.
'Cause I was on a massive project, and like I would get home maybe like 6, 7, maybe work out, maybe not.
Yeah.
And then I was like, it's just throw on Gamescast.
Yeah.
And I just need that just to unwind, and then I go to bed, and nothing else. Like I barely even played video games.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, this is just all I
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Take in at the moment.
And I know we do a lot, and we know that, and it's back to the thing we used to say about, you know, Colin and Greg Live. I'm just like, it's okay to miss a show. You know what I mean? Like if the people are always like, oh, yeah, on the subreddit or anywhere, but I'm active on the subreddit. I'm just like, oh, it's so rare that I watch all 4 topics, and not being insulting about it, but like, I mean, it's like, well, that's fine. That's okay. Like it doesn't need to be that kind of thing where we're not counting on the YouTube view to do something necessarily.
But I like that for the seasonal shows, you know, there's an end.
Yep.
And so like then I can say like, okay, I can watch all of Cooking with Greggy.
Right.
Or I can watch all of Love and Sex stuff. So then I have like something I can just schedule around.
Yep. And that was the big thing of, I think, another lesson for us in terms of the fact that, well, I want to do this show, and Nick wants to do this show, and we want to do that show. And it was always the thing of like, where does
maintain
that
that
where does that go in the day? And it wasn't
exactly.
us thinking on the way of like, okay, what if we do shows in 2-month runs and we get to do this and try this and break it down and go from there. Snow Mike, what do you want to know?
I want to know some stories from your champagning and campaigning days.
Okay.
So champagning and campaigning. If you
Thank
don't
you for
know,
explaining, because I had no
from
idea.
my main man Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN. Jalen Rose, a former NBA basketball player, always talks about the hijinks him and the team would get into.
Sure.
Visiting various states.
Oh.
My main man GameOverGreggy here and the whole Kind of Funny squad. You guys go to enough conventions. You've hosted enough shows. You got to have a good champagning and campaigning story for me.
Feel free to leave out names.
No, I mean, I don't think any of the stories are that well. Oh.
Yeah, think about it.
No. There's still one story that I don't think's ever been told from our IGN days that's like so outrageously what the fuck that, and it's not time for that one.
Oh,
amazing.
I'm sorry.
Your 5-year anniversary.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those. If I was a main character in it, it would be a different thing. But it was totally tangentially, and it was one of those like, how did this not get everywhere? And yada. A good Greg Miller champagne story of champagne and traveling. What is it?
Champagning and campaigning.
Greg Miller.
I'm trying to give you something new because I feel like it would be ones we've heard before, right? Of Colin and I when we got drunk at that IGN table and we're pounding on it, talking about tattoos.
I love this.
Yeah, we love I'm gonna get tattooed my arm where I see. Yeah, but why don't we hang out more? We should hang out more.
Well, especially now, it's kind of funny too. Like all your IGN stories, I'm pretty sure we've
Exactly, too. And then it's like also the content for Kind of Funny is just what we do. So that's always tough of like trying to figure that out. For me, I think the favorite thing I have right now about going on any trip or seeing video from anybody from Kind of Funny going on a trip is Cool Greg. Because it is that thing of, even if you wanted to take it away from like, okay, well, I've been doing this for 10 years, so I've flown on enough planes and I've done all this stuff and blah, blah, blah.
Shout out to Brothers Abroad.
Right? It's like not even that Cool Greg's excited in the way of like, oh man, I'm in the video game industry. I'm going to E3, blah, blah, blah. It's just Cool Greg's excited to be on a plane. I'll never forget that when he's like, all right, meet here and we're going to E3. All right. And he showed up with a shopping bag full of clothes. Like, I can't do that. And it's like when we were coming back from Kevin's bachelor party in Vegas, we got split up and I got in the cab with Cool Greg. And we're driving, and I'm not hungover anymore, but I'm still exhausted. And we're driving, and I just look over at Cool Greg finally, and I look at his bags, and he's got a bottle of champagne and a bottle of Gatorade in his hand.
Nice.
And I'm like, so what's the plan with the champagne and the Gatorade? And he's like, what do you mean? Why do I need to have a plan? I'm like, well, you can't bring that on an airplane. He's like, I can't. I'm like, no, what? You can't bring liquids above. And he's like, oh man, like that makes sense because Tim was putting the leftovers in his bag and I didn't understand. He just left this there, so I took it thinking I would. I'm like, no, Dad, you can't bring that on. He's like, oh, okay, well. And so when we pulled up, and he turns to the cab driver and he's like, do you want this bottle of champagne? And I'm like, I can't bring it on the plane. The stupidest thing ever, the driver's like, no, I don't drink champagne. And I'm like, you are a cabbie at the airport in Vegas. You're going to pick someone up right now to party and be like,
just have that in the back.
Hey, here you go, and then get a great tip. Exactly. Hopefully, you roll the dice. He's like, no. And Cool Greg's like, oh, man, all right. So Cool Greg walks up to the trash can and puts it down. It comes in with me, and I'm like, all right, we're going to go here to get, and he just goes, I got to hit it. And he goes, Cool Greg goes back outside the Vegas airport, opens the champagne, drinks it.
I fucking love Cool Greg.
And that's the thing is like, and it's that thing where Cool Greg is just like, eyes wide and so excited to do everything. And so to go with somebody who it's his first E3, but I also think it's his first time thinking about E3 in that way, other than, Tim goes there and sees a lot of video games. To see him on the show floor and walking around doing all those different things and interacting with Cisco and fucking talking about Sasha Banks or, having Sasha Banks on Kind of Funny Live 3 to look at him and stuff like that. And like, Kind of Funny Live 3 is a treasure trove of stories that I've talked about too. The Max Landis episode in our timeline just started going up today, but being backstage with him, and it's me, Harley, him, I think Sean Finnegan, maybe Kevin kept coming and going, but then like the documentary crew we had, and everyone's just stopped while Max Landis tells us the entire story for Superman, Agent of Batman.
Wow.
And we're like, yes, keep going, tell us everything about it, you know what I mean? Like there's the weird stories you don't think about, right? And it's that weird thing I feel like I talk about. Kind of Funny's content is so much about Kind of Funny because it is this adventure we're on because of you guys, obviously everybody on Patreon, everybody who supports us in any way. So we share so much of it already. There's nowadays not too many things that are behind the scenes you wouldn't know about, but Cool Greg's always a trip.
Sounds like Cool Greg is champagning and campaigning everywhere.
Cool Greg definitely has these stories for sure. Cheeks Jr., what do you got?
So let's play reunion
Right.
just happened.
Yeah.
And you guys were talking about how like you've gotten people from the different audiences, like
100%. Yeah. That was a great way for us to win over people there that I don't think maybe knew who we were, had given us a chance. Because when I show up on a Rooster Teeth property, I'm usually playing my Gauntlet character of just everybody sucks and PC gaming's dumb.
Just fucking best
Which is
character.
great for our audience, but not great usually for channel growth.
Yeah. So now it's post that.
Yeah.
What do you want to see from like more collaborations, or like, I know like obviously you have to pump out the content for Kind of Funny.
Yeah.
And like, so like going on other people's shows isn't like always a possibility because you have to like hold down shop here.
100%,
But, like,
yeah.
What do you want to see from this like Let's Play partnership?
I would like to see,
more collaborations in general.
Yeah, collaborations is a big part of it. I thought the Let's Play reunion was great. I think they liked it too. I think they learned a lot on how to run it. Cause like, the reason we gained so much goodwill was the fact that I think I'm used to being live all the time. And so when there'd be downtime in quotes, like, and nobody's on camera and the stream just pointed at something, I would run out there and talk to them because I want to engage with that audience. And not to mention, I want to bust my ass because I bust my ass for this business. And I want somebody out there who doesn't watch this to know we're doing that and want to be part of it. And like, we always talk about, we exchanged the reach for the intimacy of Kind of Funny. And then there'll be sometimes the back and forth of like, well, are they too big now? And da-da-da. Like, it warms my heart that this week on the subreddit, right, somebody popped in asking for a link or asking a question. I forget what it was. And I was the first person there and popped in and gave them the response. And their response was like, I can't believe the person from the channel that I'm on the subreddit for is here to talk to me about it. And it's just like, that's what this is, right? Like, there's no smoke and mirrors. There's no weird fourth wall of the cross. It's just us sharing everything with you. And I want to be there with you and talk to you that way. And so that was huge for us at Let's Play Network, at the reunion, to show that to people. I think I want to do more of those because I think it's cool to shake it up in a way that gets us outside of our norm. In terms of collaboration, I'd like to see, and there's meetings and conversations all the time about this, but in a way to make it easier for our audience to cross over too. Like, I already ask so much of you guys and you fine folks watching or listening in terms of Patreon and this. Like, it's hard for me then to go, hey, can you sign up for First too? For this company maybe you don't know. I'd love to see a way that we can say to patrons, hey, here's a trial code for First to come enjoy this content and see if you like these people and go with that. And it is that thing of, well, signing up with the free code we were giving away or link or whatever did benefit us, so you are benefiting Kind of Funny Deal. But it's also like, I know very well how hard it is to get to. I have, how many, everybody's like, oh my God, you have more than 1 million followers on Twitter. I'm like, yep, and my fucking YouTube videos do maybe 10,000 on the morning show, because just because you have a number doesn't mean people are going to click through to come see it.
They're not engaging.
So you're talking about hurdles on top of hurdles on top of hurdles that I'm aware of, right? Of like, we know how, for the people who go out to Patreon and support us, that is such a huge fucking deal. Obviously, it makes the wheels go round and keeps the ship afloat here. But I mean, I understand, like, again, we have, if you total it all up, a little over 500,000 subs, you know what I mean? And then there's double over, so what? 260, we'll say, something like that, 275. And like there's 275,000 people watching the content, or could have, or who have clicked the subscribe button.
Yeah.
And then you get to this Patreon where, if you added them up, it's 14,000 people? I don't know, something like, you start dealing with percentiles, right?
Yeah.
So I understand. I'd like to make that an easier transition I'd like to reward people on Patreon who are already doing that more. I think it's something we are already getting better at. Outside of, the Team Fat Apron this time for fan mail, the fact that we now have, thanks to Joey, Cool Greg, and, contractors and Andy, like, we have room to breathe. So there are people like, I'm all over the place, but there are people there asking the right questions and then acting on them, which is the biggest part. Where like, oh, hey, fan mail is a cool tier. Let's not just have it be the same note cards with a note from us, which is cool and fun, but how long are you going to stay at that tier? But all of a sudden, Cool Greg is going to give you a personalized name tag.
Yeah,
we're going to give you these crazy class photos. You get a Team Fat Apron. Like, we are listening and actively going on it, and that only comes because now there's room to breathe in a way. In the same way, we had a meeting, me, Nick, and Tim with Andrea about Kind of Funny Games Daily, just checking in how it's going, blah, blah. And she asked the question of just like, cool, like, I love the show and it's going so well and this, that, and the other, and I'm enjoying it, and I haven't, blah, 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 so is my audience. What's your vision for it? You know what I mean? Where do you want the show to go? What do you want the show to, not where do you want to be in 5 years? Like, what do you actually want to do with the show? What are your objectives? And it was that thing of like, that's a great fucking question. You know what I mean? Like, this is all I know to do, and I have not had time between this, that trip, that blah, blah, you know, getting married, all this stuff to be like, where are we going? Where are we running to? And it's like, huh, thank you. But it all, and then now I am thinking about it, and she's thinking about it, right? And like, that's a big part. So in terms of what I want to Let's Play, there'd be that, more collaboration. I'd like to see more people up here. Obviously, we just had Elise. We have Bruce coming up soon. I like the idea of us collaborating, especially now in the way that it's a double-edged sword when we get ahead on Game Over Greggy shows, which is what I was talking to you guys, right? Of like, oh, I don't know if this will be a Patreon exclusive episode or if it'll go up for everybody or whatever.
Yeah.
Great episode. This wasn't a comment on you at all.
We did not fuck up, guys.
No, you did great.
It's pretty good.
Joey, have you enjoyed this episode?
It's been really good. I've been reading the live chat. They've all been very impressed.
All right, great.
Thanks, Joey.
The problem, though, with that, right, is the fact that even today, on the way back from lunch, was on a thread on the subreddit about how it started as we don't do substantial topics anymore, right? And they were reaching out about, they were like the Apex Predator thing, and I'm like, well, we've done stupid shit like that before, blah, blah. And they were like, well, even when you do other stupid shit, there's more of a discussion. I was like, oh, that's a good, I hear you, blah, blah. And then somebody else was like, you don't do serious topics anymore, right? And like implying like the Colin kind of stuff, the political stuff. And I'm like, I hear you. I don't 100% agree, but it's also not our passion. Da da da.
Yeah.
Long way to get to the fact that I really wanted to do after or right around it a thing about the whole kneeling during the national anthem. I wanted to do a topic about that of where would be netted out on that, where it's going to be, blah blah blah. But we were ahead in episode. So I couldn't do it the week leading in, and then it would have been Max's 200th episode, which I was like, I can do this. I can land the plane pretty much talking to the guys. And Tim and Nick were like, but we're going to be boozing. I'm like, no, but if we address it head on. And then I brought out all the stuff here, and it looked like a bar. And I was like, no, you're right. No, that's a bad way to do it. And then it's like, so then the episode after Max is the Chris Anka one, and you guys are in there. It's like, that's the one thing. But then the morning show could tackle it, but is the morning show the right venue for it? You guys were on it today, right? With the Las Vegas shooting stuff happened. It's like, it's a giant thing of balance and do it. But then again, I don't know if that's who we are, but I want to talk. The shows are always what we want to talk about and what we have to say. And so that's one thing of like bringing up the right guest for that and having it, and then being able to send Tim away. Like, I want to go do Barb's show, Always Open. But it's like, Austin's Great a big show. Trip. That's, you know what I mean? If I'm going that far, I'm going to spend a lot of time there, and that takes me off of X, Y, and Z. Even the week of us recording this, right? It's a fucked up week because Danny quit. Andrea's out getting ready in New York now for Nintendo World Championships. I leave on a red eye tomorrow after we record the Adi Shankar episode. I go to New York. I host the WWE event on Thursday, and I come back the following Monday evening. So it's like suddenly it's Tim and Andy are the only locked in Games Daily people who could do it, and it's like we have plans. We're reaching out to people. We're going to get bodies in here. Not to mention that we also don't need to. Everybody loves Tim and Andy and wants to see more of them on that show. But it's that's the juggling act of like, okay, cool. Anytime we go to do something, we got to make sure we're covering the bases at home. Because we, I think took it on the chin, rightfully so, in the first year or two of like, man, those guys are on the road every weekend. And that means that we're only seeing them Monday through Wednesday. Yeah, and then the content is suffering because they're burned out and tired, and all they're talking about is being burned out and tired. And it's like, we've actively been trying to pump the brakes and not go to as much and take the right trips and make the right choices, which comes with time, but I think we're getting better at it.
I think you are too.
Thank you.
Well, so crazy year. It's been an insane year for you guys. What one thing from you, like what have you learned in like this year? Because like it's been an insane year for like kind of funny.
The year's almost over.
Jesus Christ. Right. Isn't that fucked up? That's the other thing I always talk about. Once we started Kind of Funny Games Daily and I read the date every day, God damn, does time go fast. Yeah. And time goes fast, but it's like that.
I mean, just think about like the year, and like you guys getting in the studio wasn't that long ago. So
no, I know. Like, it's been weird to have people come through these past couple months and be like, oh yeah, we moved here a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, geez, it was barely a year ago that we moved in here and stuff, right? I mean, what I've learned, right, is how fast everything can change. I think I've learned how versatile the team is. The one thing I think, and this is going to sound like such pandering bullshit, but hopefully you all know me well enough, is how great the community is. You know what I mean? Like, I think at a lot, for us to lose Colin and have everything go down and all this other stuff, like, a lot of people would have just walked away and never given us another shot. And the people who saw us, unexpectedly lose Colin, start to reassess, go through, and then have to do the thing of like, wait till Kind of Funny Live 3, which I know isn't the answer anybody ever wanted, right? But wait till Kind of Funny Live 3.
That was the appropriate place to do it.
And that was our thing is like, you know, we knew we had a vision. I think we fumbled telling, hey, we have a vision. Let us get our ducks in a row before doing something. We should have been more vocal about that. So, but still getting there and having the, not only bringing people back to the community or showing people we're listening to them, having that core group that I think that will never leave, unless obviously we went super evil. You know what I mean? But like that core group of like, you know, Kinda Funny Live 3 was like that room of people. We're there. Had spent the money to come around from around the world, had spent money on hotels and flights and all this other stuff to be there for that, not knowing we were about to hopefully, knock on wood, fix everything. Not knowing that this was going to be our soft relaunch, that we had an idea and do it. And so to be able to do the town hall, to do Kinda Funny Live 3 and then come out so strong, it's been awesome to see everybody be like, oh, okay, no, I'm back on board. I'm back on Patreon. Or, you know, it's always the thing of just like, it breaks my heart. Like, you know, it hurts me when somebody's like, oh my God, well, they make all this money and da-da-da-da. I'm like, yeah, no, they still just do this, that, and the other. And it's people, like, for me, a big moment for us is we launched the studio and, you know, Patreon ebbs and flows all the time, right? And it had been not going down, but it had been like, on a, you know, steady, whatever. Because, you know, why would I get excited for this? And when we launched the new studio, we didn't do awesome, please support us on Patreon. Awesome, this is all, you know, blah, blah. It was this is because of you message, but it wasn't, hey, don't forget we need your support. Right, but the Patreon number went up. The Patreon number went up organically. Mm-hmm. And for me, that was a great thing. You don't see that. As somebody who listens to This American Life and Death, Sex, and Money, when Anna Sale, who's now a friend because of the internet and our shows, when I'm listening to that show and she's like, hey, it's Pledge Drive month, so if you, I'm like, oh, right. And I text the number and I give her the money right away, right? That's how it is when like people are like, oh man, I love Greg Miller, but he self-promotes too much. I'm like, well, it's because every time I do it, a percentage of people go, oh fuck, I should do that, or oh man, I forgot that I haven't done that, and they come out and help the business. So I know it's annoying for people, but it's helpful for us.
It's part of every podcast has plugs. Right, like everyone's gonna plug their stuff.
Every business has to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I know, and I tell myself that. But again, it's that weird thing of like, you know, it's the same thing people want to throw in your face of like, oh, don't say best friends. We're not your best friends. We're your customers or whatever. I'm like, that's true, but you also know what I mean by best friends. I'd like to think, and we walk an interesting line and exist in an interesting space. And so that was a big thing of being able to see the audience sees where their money's going, right? And it is the fact of like, you know, without Patreon and without your support, obviously we don't have Joey and we don't have Andy and we don't have this. And like when people see Party Mode or they see Cooking with Greggy, the ability, oh man, that is really good. And like especially recently, I've been doing not the salesy pitch, not the, you know, it's available on this blah blah blah. The whole thing of just like, a lot of you are saying you enjoy what we're doing. That's awesome. If you could give us a buck, I'm sure it's like the same way when I'm like, hey, we put out a show. Like when I put out the Patreon post about Cooking with Greggy, I'm like, hey, episode 4 is live now for you, a Patreon person, for $1. If you could tweet about episode 3, which I know you lost last week, that'd be great. And so many people do I only have 100 followers. He's got 1 million. I don't need to do this or whatever. Not realizing that gets it to someone new that I don't reach already. And that's the whole thing of like, you know, people seeing something from somebody they trust matters more than me retweeting it to whoever, the same amount of people. And so the way the community this year has rallied behind us and I think really seen that we are listening and we know what we're doing. We have a vision for this. That's been awesome. And the fact that you learned that it isn't all lip service, if that makes sense. In the same way, I think when we were getting ready to leave and nobody knew obviously publicly, and it was the thing of like, cool, and there'd be those nights though of like, do people send me games and care about my opinion because I'm IGN or because I'm Greg Miller, right? And so like to be able to get on the other side and see it and then hear it where it's like, all right, people are still there and this is a real thing and this is a real connection. And if we lose people who don't feel that way about us, that's great. I'd rather it be the small, close-knit community that we are. So yeah. That's a long answer. I got long answers.
That's good.
That's I like it.
Answer.
No, good. Okay, good.
Fascinating. As a fan, like I just find all that fascinating.
Good.
So,
anybody else?
No, I asked my question.
Love it.
What?
Big fan. Big fan.
Any other questions?
Maybe favorite person. No, it's not your favorite. We're not gonna pick favorites.
Sure.
But favorite person from that Let's Play family that you love to see and reconnect with. You know, because I love seeing Jeff Ramsey out there putting his beautiful smile, making people smile. That guy Jack with that beard, come on, he makes me smile all the time.
Let Jack sleep. Yeah. Hashtag let Jack sleep. No, obviously Jeff's amazing. And Jeff's that guy whenever I talk to him and then it's over, it's like fuck. I don't get to talk to him enough. I would love to actually sit down and spend hours with him over, well, me drinking, him not, or whatever, or just over a nice dinner talking about everything, you know what I mean? Because there's so much to learn from him. And that's the thing, you know what I mean, of like, if I know there's always this weird thing where it's like, oh, like for the Rooster Teeth audience, right, of like, they don't like Kind of Funny necessarily, right? Or oh, those guys or whatever. And then our audience being like, oh, I don't like Rooster Teeth content because of X, Y, and Z and all that stuff. That's all fine. But then, of course, off camera, like the personal friendships and guidance they've offered, right?
Yeah.
Because they literally are doing what we're doing. And like when everything was, the walls were falling down, you know what I mean? When all the Colin stuff's happening and like PAX East is that weekend stuff. And I'm in the car on the way there, just like a wreck or whatever. The first person I texted, right, was Gus. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, my team looks to me as the leader. And that means right now I have to be strong and I have to have the answers and everything else. But I texted Gus and I'm like, I need a pep talk. Like I need someone to talk to me right now in a way that I can't turn to Tim. I can't turn to Nick on them, right? Because I need to make sure that this is going on, that they understand that no, we're all right. This is gonna be fine. We know what we're doing. We can get through this, right? And like that's what he gave me, and he gave it to me immediately. You know what I mean? It wasn't some bullshit thing. It wasn't like he got to me later. It was like that. And then not only that, then the people who were texting me from Rooster Teeth family while it's happening, you know what I mean? Like in the moment of stuff, catching up on this, or I just woke up, but this is going on. Blah blah. Are you okay?
That's so
like,
awesome.
That's real stuff, and that's, you know, when it's like they call it the Let's Play family or whatever, right? It's the people. Family, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same way we use best friends, in the way that that's a legitimate thing, and that if I need help, those people are there for me. In terms of people, though, like from the thing, so I would say Jeff for sure. I love Jack so much. I would love to do more with Jack for sure. But honestly, you know who I spent a lot of time talking with, and Michael. And like I've known Michael for a while, but like actually sitting down again and talking to him, just catching up and like, you know, shooting the shit about making content, being a dad, all this different stuff. It's like, man, like we don't talk enough, and we should do that.
Yeah.
But of course, he's making movies. I'm doing whatever the hell this is.
Got a kid.
You know what I mean? Yeah. He had a dumb kid. Now he's got to teach him all his dumb things. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I have one last question.
Sure.
Actually,
round it out for us.
And it actually just came out as you were talking.
Well, I just want to say though, you fucked up. Your answer should have been Alfredo.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he gave you the look.
Alfredo plays.
Quitter who ran away.
Alfredo plays.
Left us all alone here. I got no Xbox guy to send on events now. No first-person shooter guy. Yeah, that's true. What do you got, A-Rock?
Now, actually, good segue because Alfredo moved to Austin.
Yeah.
Do you see Kind of Funny always being a San Francisco company?
The $1 million question.
It's expensive as fuck to live here.
It is.
And to own a business here.
It is.
Worth
I can never say forever, obviously. I don't see it happening anytime soon. And I think because of the fact of who we are and what our lineage is, and especially even when you compare us to Rooster Teeth or Let's Play or whoever, it's the fact that we fulfill, and our niche is something very specific in the way of we are IGN alternative. You know what I mean? It is the thing that
Alt IG.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's not use that's a bad title. Don't use that. Yeah.
Another word.
Kind of funny to me, like just like throw this on top, like it's like IGN in 2007. Like if IGN never grow up, like that was like that's kind of funny to me. Like,
right, and it's the thing is, I think that and this is short-sighted, obviously, but it's also just because I've only thought about this company in this way for so long. As we hire more people, maybe things change and our whole outlook changes. I'm sure, we just launched a real Let's Play show for the first time ever. You know what I mean? Like, but our history and our lineage and what we do is rooted in what IGN does and what GameSpot does, and so it's, for me, I always talk about it as like it was a cheat code to do what we did, where we totally got to coast along and seem like a bigger deal than we were, where it was like, okay, we're going to SF and we're doing a press tour. We'll see IGN, we'll see GameSpot, we'll see Kind of Funny. And so it is, these people go to all these places and then they fucking come to our spare bedroom. And it was that thing of like, everybody's like, oh, we get it. No, that's cool. This is rad. But it's like, those opportunities don't play because like, everybody's like, oh, well, would you move to Austin or would you move to LA? It's like, if we move to LA, we're in the exact same boat. Yeah, it's cheaper, but it's still expensive. We're still spending a lot. And we also lose access to the people that I really feel make us us, where it's in the fact that, all right, cool. All of a sudden, everyone's gone. And let's not disqualify the fact that Danny and Andrea were here, right? And that doesn't happen if we're in Columbia, Missouri.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That happens. But, you know, this week, this is happening. So let's reach out to people from GameSpot. Let's reach out from people at IGN. Let's reach out to Gary Whitta. Let's reach out to these people. And you can make the argument, well, if you went to LA, you could do that. And this is not me knocking LA at all. I could, but it's also the same fact of not everybody works on Games Daily. I could have anybody on Gamescast, and Tim could have anybody on Gamescast, and like, hey, here's the big topic, here's what happened in the dates, blah, blah, blah. When I'm talking to you about the NPD numbers and wanting you to have a historical look at what happened this month or what the trend is or how microtransactions are affecting everything, it can't just be that you casually like games or you like games a little bit, right? And I feel like, and this is my own naivete, right? But other YouTubers I've worked with that I love and are amazing people, right? Not everybody can be Anthony Carboni. Yeah. Anthony Carboni, you can plug in any show, and he sounds educated. He sounds educated. He's not. No, he is educated. He's got all these great points. He's got salient information, and he's coming at it from a different angle, right? Whereas if I took just whoever's a Let's Play or Twitch streamer, maybe they only know this game, maybe they know the genre, they can't play for an hour on this show about everything. And so then let's magnify it more, right? Even if we went to Austin, which is, again, a place that's getting super expensive and super crowded and all these different things, suddenly then we're working with Rooster Teeth people, which is great, of course. But again, that's not really what they do.
They don't have that background.
Right, you know what I mean? Achievement Hunter is awesome, but like Michael Jones isn't a video game journalist or a video game enthusiast press.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, okay, there's a few people we could use there, but then we're using them all the time and they have their own shows to do. Mm-hmm. So the pool's super small. All right, and let's say what I always talk about, the dream. Columbia, Missouri puts in an international airport and we move there and it's dirt cheap and everything's great. It's just us.
Yeah.
And it is that thing, we talked about it a long time ago of like, when this is just like me and Nick bullshitting right over drinks. They're just like, well, what if we moved, wherever, Timbuktu? And it was like, sure, we want Felicia Day, but we book Felicia Day to come out for 3 days, whatever. And she flies in, does this, she does a bunch of stuff with us and goes home. And it's like, yeah, do you understand how hard it is to get lowly D-list celebrity Greg Miller to do anything, right? And I'm using it with the wink of the celebrity thing. If you're listening, don't think I don't think of myself that way. But like internet celebrity Greg Miller, like I can't give anybody 3 days, let alone Felicia Day, let alone Max Landis. Like, hey Max, come to Columbia, Missouri for 4. Fuck you. No. Do you want to fly in and then? Well, I guess it's a long fly in and then do the show. No, I don't want to do that. Like here, the thing is, it's like, oh man. Hey, Adi Shankar followed me on Twitter. Follow him back. DM him. Hey, like, we love your stuff. Do you want to come up? Sure, I'll do a day trip. All right. Oh, he got food poisoning the day he was supposed to come. He can't come. It's easy to bump that a month, and here he is. You know what I mean? Like, we have the best of both worlds of getting the people we want from entertainment or from LA or from wherever, being able to pull from the San Francisco hotbed of video game enthusiast press, and then do all these different things. So, would it be great to take them? It's always so easy, right, on paper. Like, oh, well, just take what they're making and do it over there, and like, yeah, it'd be awesome. It'd be awesome to take all this and lose 25% of our overhead or costs. If I'm using overhead right, I'm not an adult, and like put it back into employees and put it back into stuff. But does that change the fabric of who we are? You know what I mean?
It makes you unique. Like San Francisco is definitely a kind of funny identity.
Yeah.
Like you're the San Francisco group.
Right.
Like,
And we have shirts with them. We have all this pride in it.
Like at least 3 shirts.
Yeah. Please buy the shirts.
Outside of like Games Press, like there's no group in San Francisco. It's LA and then it's Austin and then it's like the one-off streamers. So
and that's the thing my concern would be of like I know like when it's gotten better, I think, because we've listened to the community, right? For a while, the feedback was, there's too many guests on GOG. I hate when the topic is, I'm X and I do X, so let's talk about that for an entire topic. So we've done our best, with the exception of like Max, but like Max is a drunken, rambling mess, and we all love that. Of like, what do you do? Like we try to pull back on that and bring in guests that are going to fit and mesh and do it, right? And I think we've hopefully shown, that, I mean, you guys come in and you fit, obviously, but you're from the community, but like, hey, here's this woman, Sloan, nobody knows, but I think's awesome, so here she is to talk about it, right? And it's just like, she's here and it's different. And some people are like, oh, there's a lot of crosstalk in this episode. I'm like, that is true, and it's like, she's not a professional podcaster, like so many of us. Like, you get in and you fall in and you be able to do this, and we're able to do that. And I feel like if we went to Timbuktu and even if we went to Austin, we'd have those opportunities, but it would be a lot more of just like, oh,
Timbuktu would be really cool though.
Yeah, right. Just in the middle of nowhere. But it would be a lot more of, all right, well, it is really the same opinions over and over. It is the same stories over and over again. And there's a charm to that, but is there a growth potential to that? Like, you know what I mean? And again, we don't want to be Rooster Teeth. We don't want to be Philip DeFranco. We want to keep making content we love. And I want Nick to be able to make the movie show he wants to make. And he has this great idea for another show he wants to make. And it's like, I want us to get there and have the ways to do that. And right now, I feel like that's our best bet here. And this is all, of course, taking out the fact that now there are 7 people's lives directly affected by it, and you usually then add at least one other person, like whether it's a partner or the family member, and it's like to start thinking about how we would rip all that out and go, it's really fucking tough. Not to mention, you know, Nick loves doing the comedy stuff, and that's an option up here. Yeah, again, he could go to LA and do it, but yeah, again, big fish, small pond kind of situation where if, you know, Nick goes up to his things and like, you heard this story he talked about on the shows, right? Of like, some other comic got up there and goes, who the fuck is Nick Scarpino? I am why. How do you have 26,000 Instagram? Nobody in LA is going to give a shit that you have 26,000.
You're unique up here, and he could do the punchline up here, but like in LA, it's like everyone, that scene is huge.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we could go and figure it out and save a few bucks, but it would dramatically change who we are and what the culture is and what the business is. And I don't think that's the right move necessarily. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing as always. Like, one day somebody's going to come in and be like, hey, I made a plan. And we'd all look at it and be like, oh, yeah or no. But like right now, the idea of ripping it all up and going to LA or ripping it all up and going to Austin, I can't see how how it would work and how it wouldn't drastically change who we are. And Joey hates all these ideas.
I don't mind Austin.
You say that now. Wait till we're there in the summer.
No, I've done that. LA sucks.
LA does suck.
I do not like LA. I've said that. I have said it very drunkenly to Max. I've said it very publicly before.
He was a little perturbed. I saw it in his eyes.
Well, there was a lot to be perturbed about in this show.
Yeah.
Have you finished the whole show? Oh no, you were 2 hours in. Right?
Yeah. I'm like, I got to go back and like watch the rest. Final.
Oh sure, sorry.
Final question, and you might want to just make it a quick one. So
yeah, you know how I'm usually good at that.
Well, considering that roughly 90% of startups fail within 2 to 3 years.
Sure.
You guys have passed that. Do you consider Kind of Funny a success?
Yeah, 100%.
Yay. That was all
I mean, like, it's that thing where, you know, I always talk about it. Well, you know, we talk every so often about, oh man, like, tattoos are cool. And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to get the Kind of Funny logo here, right? And it's even when I used to talk about the IGN
logo.
Well, and it's that thing of like, oh, well, you know, what if it failed or what if it did this? I'm like, this didn't fail. Like, for better or worse, we've come out and I mean, we being you guys, the community, have come out and been like, there's a place for this kind of content of just friends being friends. And the way, I'll never get over it, the way best friends has become a thing and people have adopted that and clung to that. And again, on the Reddit today, a guy who put up a broken headline that was like, does anybody have the, and he meant link, but he only got the L out. Yeah. And then it was like, hey, does anybody have that post from Greg about you're not allowed to kill yourself? I need that today. And the fact that here's the post and here's 18 people saying, DM me right now, PM me right now, I'm right there for you, blah, blah, blah. That is what we're a success about. When people, you know, worry about views or worry about money or worry about us being here in another 2 years, that shit doesn't matter. That'll work itself out, and I'm fairly confident we'll be here. You know what I mean?
Money will come.
Exactly, and because it's the same thing we've always said from the beginning. If you put out content you believe in, it will find an audience. If you put out content you enjoy, you'll find an audience. And that's what we do. But the success isn't that. The success is the best friend mantra. The success is every one of the other podcasts we've inspired, or the kids who Twitch stream because of us, or the people who come up to me now, and because I'm old as fuck now, Snow Mike. But this was the fucking PAX of, I grew up listening to you, and now I've got my first media badge, and I'm like, there's like 14 of you doing this. How is that? How are there this many? But that's the success, right? Kind of Funny's been a success for sure. Yeah. Good. Hopefully here's much more of it.
Absolutely.
You've made an impact on my life, Greg.
Love you. Love you guys. Thank you so much for doing this with me today. If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table, each bringing a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, and I want to point out too, like Max has been on the show before. I can't, when you're a returning guest and you still get spooked by this table, yeah, everybody's like, what? Oh, I forgot about that. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny. Keep the lights on. You can watch the show for $1 as we record it live, like so many of you are. Thank you. Or you can go 5 or 10, get the MP3 or the video early. If you have no bucks to toss our way, no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny. You can get the entire show topic by topic, day by day, until it goes up as one big video and MP3. This is the Greg Miller Industries crew. And until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you. Cheer. Thanks for watching, everybody. Click here to subscribe. Click here to see a playlist of other videos. Click here to go to our Patreon page. And click here to go to the Vortex of Darkness. I don't know what it is.